Hey kids, another GLEN YAPS video. I'm on a tear with doing stuff with snare drums and sorting my snare drums out, so I figured I'd do another video. Okay, no surprise, I'm a huge fan of the band The Police. Stewart Copeland, massive influence on me when I was starting off playing drums. So anyways, he played Tama drums, but what a lot of people don't know is in the studio he used a pearl snare. And there was always a mystery about this snare drum. And then there was a couple of things that came out that revealed that it was a pearl snare. And it was a chrome over brass metal snare. So I had bought a I think it was last summer or the summer before, I bought a 1969 Yamaha kit that had been sitting in a basement for 30 years. It was covered like with this much dust. And when I cleaned it all up, it was absolutely mint, like it just come out of the store. It was like, you just couldn't believe it. But along with the snare that came with it, the Yamaha snare, came a pearl chrome snare. And as soon as I saw it, I believe this is one of the pearl brass snares that they put out back then. They had a snare one, a steel one. Yeah, they had a snare one. They had a steel one. They looked the same, but I'll tell you the difference. Anyways, I already had a pearl maple snare from that series, and so anyways, I was happy to get it. I cleaned it all up and I used it on a few gigs. And I just finished breaking the strainer underneath. So I got one broken strand here because my big finger got caught in it. But it's not an original. It's not an original anyways on the bottom. Anyways, this is what Stewart Copeland used on a lot of the Police recordings. Looks like a plain old pearl chrome snare, but this is actually chrome over brass. You can tell the brass from the steel because the brass has 3 grooves. 3 grooves. It also has this badge. And the most important thing, use a magnet. Magnet will not stick to brass on this particular pearl drum. If it was a steel one, the magnet would stick. And it's a heavy drum. I've actually used this on a few gigs, and I like it. It's got a great rim shot sound. It's a very dry sounding snare. I put a fiber skin on it to warm it up a little bit more. But it's a great sounding snare. I love it. And if I was ever in a Police tribute band, this would be the snare I go to. So a little info. So if you want to know if you're old, I believe these are late 70s snares. I haven't dated it, to be honest, but yeah, just check with the magnet and look for the grooves on there and the badge. Alright, so that's that one. And now it's Maple Brother. This was my favorite snare for years and years. I used this in the blues bands that I played with. My bass player, George Ravlich, at the time, this was his favorite snare of the ones I used. And I haven't played it in a long time. It's like anything, you use it for years and years, you want to try something different, but I ripped it out today and I was like, wow, still sounds great. I'm not a pearl fan, but I do like their odd snare drum. Most of them vintage snares. So So this one's a little bit dirty, but it's been sitting in a case, so it's going to get the super cleaning. I've been going through a few of them there, giving them the polish and making them look nice and new again. So that's snare number 2 with the pearl. Now, I told you in the other video that I had a company, Ghekko Custom Drums. Well, I built a few for myself. This one's another one. This is 8-ply maple. The date code on this is, let's see, when I had this going, September 16th, 1996. That's how long ago I used to build drums. So this is 8-ply maple, and it sounds great. I've got an emperor on it because I wanted it to sound fat for a couple of projects I was using it on at the time. It needs a good cleaning, but I love this snare. I used to use this live too, with the lime green Ghekko Custom Maple kit. It was the first snare I had with it, and then I built the snare I showed you in the previous video, the 12-ply maple. So this one's going in to get cleaned in the shop there tomorrow. And this heavy bugger, this is a Frankenstein snare. It's a brass. The shell is one of the ones that I used with my my Ghekko Custom Drums company. It had some flaws in it, so obviously I couldn't sell it. So I scuffed it all down. I'm going to do an experiment with it. I sanded the clear lacquer off it. That's why it looks kind of scratched and a little brushed, I guess you'll say. Basically, like I say, it had a couple of blemishes in. So I'm going to scuff it all down, and I'm going to airbrush different colors on, and I'm going to make it a rat rod snare. Now the lugs, as you can see, are pearl. They aren't the ones I originally put on it. The original ones I put on it were a test lug that I had, and I sold those, I think, 2 snares with those lugs, and I had nothing but problems with those lugs. They kept breaking, and not so much the lug, but the fastener and behind it, the screw goes in. And so I junked all those, and the shell was just sitting. So I looked through my stash of lugs that I had, and I put some pearl ones on here. I've got lots of pearl ones because pearl kits I used to get for my students all the time, the export series. So that's where these kind of come from. So, but they're heavy duty. Like they're not in great shape. They're pitted and everything. But like I say, this is a Frankenstein snare, and it sounds great. I just use it for the odd recording. It's not pretty, but that's why we call it the Frankenstein snare. So that's it for this short video of snare drums. I've got I'm going through a bunch, and we'll see what I got to show you in the next few videos. Peace.